Hello player, today we will analyze the match between Viswanathan Anand with the white pieces and Praveen Mahadeo Thipsay with the black pieces. e4. e5. Knight f3. Knight c6. Bishop b5. a6. Bishop captures on c6. d. Captures on c6. Kingside castling. f6. d4. Bishop g4. d. Captures on e5. Queen captures on d1. Rook captures on d1. f. Captures on e5. Rook d3. Bishop d6. Knight from b, d2. Knight f6. Knight c4. Kingside castling. Knight from f, captures on e5. Bishop e2. Rook d2. Bishop captures on c4. Knight captures on c4. Bishop c5. Rook e2. Rook from a, e8. Knight d2. This move was inaccurate, the best move was e5. For example, e5. Knight g4. Bishop e3. Knight captures on e3. Knight captures on e3. Rook captures on e5. Rook from a, e1. With a balanced game. Knight d2. Rook d8. g3. Knight g4. Knight b3. Rook captures on f2. Rook captures on f2. Bishop captures on f2 check. King g2. Bishop e3. h3. Bishop captures on c1. Rook captures on c1. Knight e5. g4. The evaluation became -1.6, this move was a mistake, the best move was knight c5. For example, knight c5. Rook d2 check. King g1. Knight f3 check. King f1. Rook h2. Rook d1. Rook captures on c2. Knight captures on b7. Rook captures on b2. Knight c5. Rook c2. Knight captures on a6. Knight d2 check. King g1. With a balanced game. g4. b6. c3. c5. Rook c2. Rook d3. This move was inaccurate, the best move was knight c4. For example, knight c4. Rook f2. h6. With a decisive advantage for black. Rook d3. Knight c1. Rook d1. Knight e2. Knight d3. King g3. c4. b3. b5. This move was inaccurate, the best move was c, captures on b3. For example, c, captures on b3. a, captures on b3. f5. Rook a2. Knight c5. With a decisive advantage for black. b5. b, captures on c4. b, captures on c4. Knight d4. This move was inaccurate, the best move was knight f4. For example, knight f4. c6. Knight g2. Rook g1. King h2. Rook c1. Rook captures on c1. Knight captures on c1. a3. Knight e2. Knight e3. Knight captures on c3. Knight captures on c4. Knight captures on e4. Knight e5. c5. King g2. King f8. King f3. Knight g5 check. King f4. Knight captures on h3 check. King g3. King e7. King captures on h3. King d6. Knight f7 check. King d5. King g2. King c4. Knight g5. With an advantage for black. Knight d4. King f7. Rook e2. Knight c5. This move gives back part of the advantage. The best move was rook c1. For example, rook c1. e5. Rook captures on c3. King h4. Rook a3. With a decisive advantage for black. Knight c5. Rook f2 check. King e8. Rook f5. The evaluation became -4.3. This was a serious mistake. The best move was King g2. For example, King g2. Knight captures on e4. Rook e2. Rook d2. King f3. Rook captures on e2. Knight captures on e2. Knight g5 check. King g3. King f7. h4. Knight e6. g5. Knight c5. King f4. King e6. h5. Knight d3 check. King e4. c5. g6. h captures on g6. h captures on g6. Knight f2 check. King f3. Knight d1. King e4. f5. f4. Knight f2 check. King f3. Knight d1. King e4. Knight b2. Knight f4 check. King d6. Knight h5. Knight captures on a4. Knight captures on g7. Knight captures on c3 check. King f5. Knight d5. Knight e8 check. King e7. g7. King f7. Knight d6 check. King captures on g7. Knight captures on c4. f4. Knight a3. With a balanced game. Rook f5. Rook d3 check. The evaluation became 0.0. This was a serious mistake. The best move was knight captures on e4. For example, knight captures on e4 check. King f3. Knight captures on c3. Knight e6. King d7. Knight captures on g7. Rook d3 check. With a decisive advantage for black. Rook d3 check. King f2. The evaluation became -4.2. This was a serious mistake. The best move was King f4. For example, King f4. Knight a4. Knight e6. With a balanced game. King f2. Knight d7. This move gives back part of the advantage. The best move was knight captures on e4. For example, knight captures on e4 check. King g1. Rook d1 check. Rook f1. Rook captures on f1 check. King captures on f1. Knight captures on c3. With a decisive advantage for black. Knight d7. Rook f3. Rook d2 check. King e3. Rook captures on a2. Knight e6. g6. Knight captures on c7 check. King d8. Knight d5. f5. Rook f7. h5. The evaluation became 1.9. This was a serious mistake. The best move was rook h2. For example, rook h2. Rook captures on h7. Knight f8. Rook a7. Knight e6. Rook a6. Rook captures on h3 check. King e2. Knight c5. Rook d6 check. King e8. Rook c6. Knight b3. Rook captures on g6. f4. With a balanced game. h5. G captures on h5. This move was inaccurate, the best move was rook g7. For example, rook g7. King c8. Rook captures on g6. With a decisive advantage for white. G captures on h5. G captures on h5. Rook h7. King c8. King d4. Rook e2. Rook captures on h5. f4. Knight e3. King b7. This move was inaccurate, the best move was a3. For example, a3. Rook a5. a2. Knight d5. King b7. h4. Rook d2 check. King captures on c4. Knight e5 check. With a balanced game. King b7. Knight captures on c4. Rook captures on e4 check. The evaluation became 4.3. This was a serious mistake, the best move was rook e1. For example, rook e1. Knight e3. Rook e2. With an advantage for white. Rook captures on e4 check. King captures on e4. Knight f6 check. King f5. Knight captures on h5. King g5. Knight g3. h4. King c6. h5. Knight captures on h5. King captures on h5. King c5. Knight a3. King d5. King g4. King e4. c4. King d4. King f3. King c5. King e3. King b4. King d3. That was a good move, he doesn't let the advantage slip away. King captures on a3. c5. King b2. c6. a3. c7. a2. c8. a1. Queen c2 check. King a3. Queen c5 check. King a2. Queen c4 check. King a3. Queen a6 check. King b2. Queen b6 check. King c1. Queen c5 check. King b2. Queen b4 check. White's victory. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and leave your suggestions.